Okay, I think I'm recording now. Yeah, thanks, Sharks. So yeah, it's recording now. I'm sorry for people who are gonna watch this later if we take the recording from my computer. But yeah. At least I saw it before I end the stream. So, brass. I think that was coming from Contact. I resampled everything again because of CPU problems. But yeah. Very simple brass, the same FX, some other... Oh, that's the same brass, just pitching up, I think. Alright, so just the same, yeah, brass coming, playing. There's no change really. Just added some risers, some FXs here. Pretty simple. And I don't, I'm not really talking about the mix down of each things, but I don't think I did anything in particular. Let me just check real quick the intro stuff. On the instruments, I have a Pro L. But only on the instruments, not on the master. I just want the instruments to avoid any clipping, audible clipping. What's my PC specs? I don't know right now, but it's okay. Why? DJ Serpent, DJ Meuble. What the fuck is going on here? Yeah, so some Pro L. Oh, all right. I have this frequency shifting pitching up, I think. See, this project is a mess as well. I don't even know what's doing what. Yeah, that's pitching up. You can see the whole instrument group that contains like the brass and the background stuff. This is pitching up with frequency shifting. So pretty simple stuff as well. And then, yeah, the pre-drop. So that's the same vocals. No, just wanted to buy some new components. Hold on, excuse me. I'm trying to look at the chat at the same time. IVORY still best I've seen, to be honest. Opened first bag and left 10 pounds later. Where was that? Was it in Canada? Canada? Last time I saw IVORY for free. You can see me play for free every time you come at my house, Danny. DJ Monsieur Propre, oh my god, you guys are crazy. All right. So yeah, for the pre-drop, there's the vocals. Nothing changed on the vocals, but I added some FXs. How can I mute that? All right. Those mechanic sort of sound. I love these glitches. I think that's coming from a pack I like, and another pack that company sent me with a lot of these sort of glitches. And yeah, using this in the pre-drop is really dope. Is there any mix down on this? Just a saturator pushing the levels up. Alright, this is sidechain as well. Alright, so yeah, it's pretty empty. And yeah, let's go over the drop now. DJ Frein à main. Last time I saw IVORY, I didn't saw IVORY because I never saw IVORY live. That's crazy. Imagine. My computer is not enjoying streaming and making music at the same time. But I never had any issue when making the tune. That's weird. All right, so let's talk about the basses. I mean the drop in general. So let me solo the bass group. It's a bit messy as you can see, but I'm gonna explain what's happening. Bro, the new computer I boot, like the laptop, is better than my actual computer I'm making music on. I'm like mad. Alright, I see someone talking about the drums, and I actually forgot to talk about the drums at all. And if there's anything I'm missing, just feel free to let me know in the chat, because the project is messy. My brain is a mess right now. I just don't know where to start. So just feel free to let me know and I go over whatever you guys want to see. So the drums, let's talk about the drums first. You're right. I think I'm going to do from top to bottom. That's going to be easier for me to organize this stream. So the drums, phase 1 kick. I've downloaded, I think actually I started this track after downloading the sample pack from phase 1 on Splice. Like straight after downloading it, I was like, oh, those drums are so good, and gave me inspiration to make those crazy basses. So that's kick phase 1 on, kick fat. What do we have on it? Some transient shaping. Just boosting the attack. Some EQing, removing some low end, some mid range. Also, the kick is going through that drum bus, which have a fab filter Saturn on it. It is by default. I just turned down the drive a little bit. I will explain why in a second. And then some soft clipping. So yeah, I can right now explain why I have the Saturn here. It is because I'm routing my cymbals into my drums as well. And when you like saturate the kick and the cymbals together, it just glue them together in a really interesting way. It just, you know, makes you feel like the hi-hat has been recorded with the kick. And it makes you feel like the hi-hat is not just hi-hat you drop over the kick, or it just, you know, just make things very glued. And I think I saw that a few months ago in a Laxity video on Twitch, where it was doing some hip-hop stuff, and he threw a fab filter Saturn on his master, and everything instantly glued. I was like, wow, damn, that sounds so good. And I've just did the same thing, but on the drums only, and it worked so nice. So now that's what I'm doing almost every time. Yeah, exactly. It crunches the high because the low end from your kick just distorts everything else. And so even just a little bit of saturation, just a little bit, is enough to have that result. It's also, if your kicks are louder than the cymbals, will also sort of retain the transient of your cymbal to clash with the transient of your kicks. So I don't know what's the exact, you know, technique behind that, how that works or whatever. But yeah, it's a good way to glue your drums together, making sure that the hi-hat are not going over the kick. Whoa, 69 viewers, 69. Crazy. Transient shaper du blade, that's the best transient shaper you can get. You can have Simplifier about it. We use this one since when we started making music. It just, I don't know, it works so well. It works really well. And I have a bunch of transient shaper. Actually, I have probably 6 or 7 different one, and they all have a different character. Like the kilohertz one doesn't sound like the Native Instruments one. It doesn't sound like the one that is called Transpire. Doesn't sound like this one. I don't know. There's, you know, different characteristics on each one, and that's why I'm using different one every time. See, oh, the cymbal is kind of glued to the kick. There's also a little sidechain on the cymbals. As you can see, I'm turning down the cymbal that is hitting on the drums. So yeah, I just want my drums to be like the loudest thing, and I don't want to have like big crash or big cymbals on it. Hey, Dirty Phonics, la famille, comment ça va? So yeah, the cymbals are pretty simple as well, I think. Some EQing. I'm not gonna lie, I don't usually do these sort of things. Even using glue compressor on my cymbals is not what I'm doing. I'm like compressing those cymbals a lot. I wanted to make a sort of noise wall of cymbals, I don't know. But I tried here. Then wave shaping, then soft clipping, a little bit of sidechain. I think I show you here. But yeah, nothing crazy really. Yeah, you can really tell that I was inspired by Phase 1 when I did this track because all the cymbals are coming from his pack. There's a Pixel Terror snare here. Yeah, it should be the loudest thing in the mix for sure. Viewers, 70 French people. French Revolution. Here we go. All right. I wasn't expecting 70 people to tune in, not gonna lie. But that's okay. I'm less nervous now that the stream has started. So yeah, the drum's very simple. And now we can go over the basses. So let's talk about that first thing. That sort of glitchy bass. What it is, it's a serum patch with, I think, a lot of post-processing. Okay, so that's a bass that you can like automate and also called Phase 2. Don't ask me why. I was really inspired by Phase 1 at that time. But yeah, the patch is pretty simple. Just a basic shape like a square wave with some unison, bandpass, and what creates everything is really like the distortion and the sub. And there's also a bunch of distortion here. There's this rack, which have OTT, some EQing. That's another patcher. Can you guys see patcher? Yeah, you can see it. That's another rack that actually have like 3 dispersers in a row. Some distortion, some saturation. I'm really like blowing this sound, blowing it up. That's without anything. I mean, that's without anything. So it's very simple. So yeah, so that first patcher, another OTT, another fat rack I did with FL plugins. Camel crusher, disperser, some EQing. Maximus, what is this one doing? Okay, so I'm just like, I think I was just trying to compress the low, but as you can see, it doesn't do anything. So Maximus is useless right now. Some saturation. And I've did this patcher a while back now, and it's kinda interesting. It is, I don't know how to explain that. It is like a mid-side limiter enhancer. So you have the mid signal that goes straight to like the output, and you have the side signal that goes through a limiter that I can push. Sorry, I need to turn off fucking notifications. And yeah, I have this mid-side limiter enhancer that just push the sides a lot, so it makes the side signal super loud. And I'm not saying that this should be used for like mixing or whatever, but more for, you know, sound designing. So it adds a lot. Just make, you know, the sides bigger. Some Valhalla room, but I think I'm automating it. Yeah. All right. And yeah, so that's for this one. Very simple. Not very simple, but I mean, the patch itself is very simple. The process is more complex after. What monitoring speakers do you use? I usually use KRK, but I actually don't use monitors anymore. I just use headphones. I can't mix with monitors correctly. I don't know why. It's not my thing. Will French remember the phase 2 challenge sample? Oh, you were in the Discord server. Let me just check the chat at the same time. Headphone gang, yeah. Oh, CPU. Oh, also that's one more trick for FL users. If you're like on Discord or just with some friends and you want to stream your project and it started to be laggy like my project was 2 seconds ago, there's two things you can do that really improve the memory usage of FL. You can press F12. It's gonna close all the plugins that are open in the background. And then you can also go to Tools, Macros, and click on Switch Mode Disable for all plugins. I can't tell you exactly what it does, but you can see on the left bottom of the screen, this will spare CPU. So obviously this will spare CPU. So F12 and those two things and your stream should be working fine after that. I mean, it should be working better. So what's this bass? Two basses, one low bass and one high bass. So one is like a growl and the other one is more like a high-pitched screech. This one and this one, plus the sub that we can't hear now for some reason. So that growl is the same growl I used at the beginning of the track, the one I showed you here, the one that, you know, do this thing. So that very simple saw wave with a lot of distortion. IVORY Fat Sub 2020, you know that rack. By the way, we can see the menu through Streamlabs. What menu are you talking about? Hold on, let me figure out because I can't see my screen right here. Oh, when I right click. Okay, all right. It's not a big problem. So yeah, that's the same bass I showed you at the beginning. Let me just see if there's any. No, there's not any change. That's the exact same bass. So let's go over the lead instead, the screech, which is very simple. Just a saw wave, 16 voices of unison, +3, +7. But it doesn't matter. I mean, you could do that with your keyboard instead. I think I was initially doing something like this, and it just didn't work, and I leave it like that. Then compression. I think that's the default compressor when you open Serum. Some distortion again, a lot of distortion actually. Getting rid of the low end. And some hyperdimension. I'm doing that odd prophet sort of spreading things, like where it is like putting the rate all the way up, ditching all the way up, and just turn the mix not all the way up obviously, but enough to create like a very wide layer to your actual main bass. And that's super dope. I love this technique. So a little bit of this, some mix here. I don't usually turn up the size. I'll leave it like that and turn the mix up a little bit. And for the process, EQing, Camera Crusher doesn't do anything. Another Camera Crusher, the so-called British clean. Frequency shifting doing nothing. Okay, I have the Suze on this one, cleaning it up. Or maybe that's the Suze I've enabled that wasn't enabled at first. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's you know, very simple process again. Stack the layers, yeah. Swagger stands out. Layers. To the bar we get the drinks in. The night is still young. Okay, so it's only 2 basses from the beginning to the actual fill here. So what's in the fill? Some basses from my sample pack. That's actually all from my sample pack. I'm not trying to promote it, but if you want those sounds, you can grab my sample pack. It is that simple. So yeah, very simple sounds actually, but layered together, it creates something kind of heavy. Let me just solo the basses, see how that sounds. It's pretty random. I couldn't like make a drop with this sort of sounds, but it really works well for yeah, doing fills, ending your drop and go over something else. Swagger stands out to the bar, let's the drinks in, the night is still young, so let the madness begin, darling. I say where you're, drop it like it's up. Alright, ouf ta soundboard, drop it like it's hot, wonk wonk wonk. Chat is going crazy. I have one IVORY riser preloaded on my template every time I start a song. Thank you, Sharks, means a lot. So yeah, honestly, I can't really talk about these sounds because that's obviously samples I've did a while back, so I don't have like the patch right here. But there's other stuff I can talk about, obviously. Some machine gun here. I mean, some sort of machine gun. Some noisy percussions more. Marodong machine gun. Oh. Guess who I got the inspiration from. So very, yeah, simple and noisy machine gun stuff. Just some percussive, you know, LFO, I mean percussive LFO. Very short LFO sort of shape. Yeah, percussive shape. And layer to another one, I think. Oh no, it's not on. Okay, there's that sample. From my sample pack as well. Very simple percussion, but I used it to like give some tonality to that machine gun. And then, what's that? Another distorted sort of sound, and all together, just make that, you know, big machine gun thing. I have $20 ready, printed on my template every time I start a song. Alright, so there's also this bass here. I can eventually talk about this one, because I think I still have the patch. Where's that? Only French people can read this. So yeah, that's the actual bass you can hear right now. Believe it or not, that's the same thing. Just need some processing and resampling. Just, you know, shorting the sound and adding some reverb, and that's the exact same bass. But what it is exactly? What is it? It is some FM synthesis. Let me disable this and show you one by one. Very bad. Elle donc en sueur. I have 8 OTTs on my master every time I start a track. Yeah, I mean, if it sounds good. I have high doubt that it sounds good, but... So very simple FM, adding some flanger to give more like... more peaks, more resonance. Then some EQing, low passing the sound, doing that wah, wah sort of sound. And you can tell that I'm boosting some resonances as well with the with the high pass filter. And this is what really creates the sounds, because this then combined to like the reverb filter, then compressed and distorted together will create that super heavy sound. So yeah, some hyperdimension. All these things here are more like optional. It doesn't really, you know, create the sound. It just add little details. Oh, the delay is doing a lot. And then the reverb filter. And if you just add like one OTT on this, it should do something kind of similar to the bass I've used in the project. Yeah. And there's like, yeah, no processing. So it's straight from Serum. And it's not very complicated. Just, you know, the right filtering and all that stuff. But yeah, I might release this bass in my next sample pack. With some racks as well. What do we have next? Did I talk about this one? I don't think so. Okay, so that sustained bass is like two basses, and that's funny because those two basses sounds really, really bad by themselves. Like if you take this one, it doesn't sound like super bad, but honestly, I wouldn't use that for like a single bass. It just sounds too simple, and same goes for this one. It's just too harsh and too, you know, there's something missing in the sound. But both together. Just sounds way better. Also, there's like a pitch modulation. You can hear it goes no, no. It is not just like a straight note. Right. Those glitches also coming from the sample pack. Really helps a lot to glue different parts together. Oh, Sus in the chat, what's happening? Ivory, you look cool today. Thank you. Does that mean that I don't look cool all the other days? I don't know how to take this, honestly. Tips for layering heavy basses, ways to think about layering in context. Well, I think well, my way of thinking about layering is like, let's say I have that one bass, that main bass. I like the movement, I like the tonality, but there's something missing. I will think about layering to complement this bass. It could be easier to add some texture to the bass, or maybe to add tonality if the bass I'm working on is like liking of this. It's really all about like using layer to fill the frequency spectrum and maybe fill the space around the other elements. I don't really know how to explain that, but I don't do layering just to layer stuff, you know? I'm not like I do this bass, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna add a layer and see. Even though if sometimes this can work, I prefer to do it in a way that I need it. I need this layer to make this bass sounds fuller, or I need this layer to make this bass sounds like wider, or I need this layer to create tonality in something that is missing. But yeah, that's the way I think about layering when I'm doing so. Okay, so that bass here is the same bass as the first one, the sort of Reese bass glitch thing. What was that? Right here. I think that's actually the same patch. Serum 7. And here we have Serum... No, that's not the same patch. I've tweaked it a bit. But as you can see, it is coming from the same patch. So yeah, pretty much the same thing, same processing, just playing with the macro differently than the first one. because the macro is what's really creating like the wobble in the sound. So if I wanted to go fast, I just... Oh, no, hold on. I've been trolled by my own bass. Alright, so I definitely changed something in the second one. Probably synced the LFO for this one. Yeah, alright, so the LFO is synced for this one. I don't even know what this one is doing. Okay, just moving the filter. Alright, so what I did here is pretty much removing the automations that was assigned to the macro, and instead I replaced it with normal LFO to have more control over the shape of the sound. What headphones do you use? Yeah, exactly. DT 770 Pro 80 OHM. It is like, I think, the cheapest headphones you can find for this quality. It is just very standard and very good, and it costs like around $100, I think. Okay, so I want to say something before. No, let me go over the full drop, and then I will talk about the background, because that's also important. The vocals adds a lot. Just a switch here, introducing the new bass. See, I'm listening to the sounds and I'm like, this needs EQ, but it is too late now. But I have that one bass here. Very simple patch as well, no FM, nothing, just a wavetable, some reverb filter, distortion. Distortion does a lot. Then another layering. See, this one is like feeling the low mid range kind of, and this one is way more like the brighter part of the sound, like where I think between like 2K and more, I think 2K hertz. The sub bass, okay, not used here. That's bad. Did I use that? Okay, I didn't even remember there was that sound. Sounds pretty bad by itself. Yeah. Fuck yeah. So see that little toom toom toom. I know someone was asking about the layering, but for example, this little boom 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 that sounds bad by itself, I think really accentuates that sort of quarter note rhythm that is over the sustained bass here. You know, it just adds something else. Some Reese bass. I think the Reese bass is pretty simple. So that's just two saw wave detuned from each other. There's no sub enabled. Some noise, some low pass. Let's turn off the processing. Distortion all the way up, the tube distortion, compression, EQ, and some hyperdimension. And what makes the Reese bass really crunchy is all the post-processing you add. So saturation with the anti-aliasing on. Oh my god, no. Some OTT, micro shift, which is a really great plugin from Soundtoys. This is literally like doing some additional voicing to your sound. It just duplicates your sound and detune it, kind of like what you will do with the Unison tab here. So it is cool because you can add that, you know, in post processing, and you have some cool controls here. So yeah, micro shift, then sausage flattener, the good old sausage flattener. Some EQing, my good old 3 times disperser. just make everything more watery. And then finally another sausage fattener, because why not? Yeah, that's it. All right, so that's for the first drop. I just want to talk about the background real quick, because if you mute all the basses, oh, come on, no. So it's pretty simple, but you can see that there's some stuff that adds a lot. Fond d'écran. You talk about this? This looks crazy. Anyway, so there's like a very high-pitched string here, just adding some top end, some sustain to the sounds. Let me mute the sub real quick. Very simple, that vocal. Some OTT, overdrive, EQing, camel crusher, delay. Just some very basic tools to make the vocals sound a bit cleaner and louder. Why there's no sub anymore? Oh yeah, I muted it. I'm stupid. Oh, that's terrible. How did you learn most of what you know now? Trial and error, mentors, trying to learn all this, but it's hard if you don't know where to start. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It is definitely hard, and I think when I started, it was maybe harder, not gonna lie, because there wasn't like all these tutorials. Now you have like school online, you have online school, sorry. You have a lot of people doing lessons, me included. You have so many stuff you can find online, and the way I've learned was simply by just tweaking knobs and trying hard. And it took me a while, to get there. Like. I'm making music since approximately 10 years now, and I know there's some kids that just make music since 3 years, and they're like, way more talented and all, and I respect that a lot, but it's two different generations, and I think today you can easily progress and learn by just, spending time on internet, but like, doing it for like educational purpose, let's say, not just being on the internet. That doesn't work, but being on internet, trying to find resources, trying to learn, trying to watch documentaries and read books about music, maybe, just all that stuff about music, really. You can consolidate in FL as well, yeah. But yeah, I've learned all that stuff by myself, but I think I've really improved my sounds when I got in contact with other people that were making dubstep. And one of the first people I've met, one of the first French people I've met when I've made music was Canon and Simplifier. And those two guys really helped me learn new things and have, a different vision on the whole music thing. Because, again, I was really doing things by myself, so I wasn't really watching tutorials or stuff like that. So I couldn't invent stuff, There's so many stuff you can do in music. But yeah, I think just spending time with people around you that have like the same motivation and not the same knowledge, but just spending time with people that can help you making music can really make you improve your sound and go faster. Like being surrounded by positive people and people that have the same goals as you, like just succeeding as a musician and being happy with making music, that's what's gonna help you the most. I have like a very good circle of friends, and I can ask them anything about music today, and I feel like super safe, because if at some point I'm like, kind of stuck on something, then I can just give a call to a friend and ask him to give me a few tips to, you know, refresh my mind. And I think, yeah, that's a really great help to progress. I hope that answered your question. This is not very technical, but that's, yeah, the way I think about it. All right, so I think we went over that first half. So now let's talk about the second half. So I'm gonna talk about this drop pretty quick, and then I will answer your all your final questions. And Sunburned, just want to answer your question really quick. I mean, it's not a question, but the works need to come from you for sure. But again, today there's just so many content online to make you learn stuff. Between all the live streams, even those NSD live streams, I felt like it is super interesting because you can see people are working in their tracks. I'm actually watching all the live stream NSD are doing, like Odd Prophet, Heritage, Leslie, and everything is just so interesting to watch because there's like different techniques but yeah, there's just I want to say that there's really a shit ton of content online, and today it's not super hard to learn. You just need to be motivated and probably disciplined as well. I don't know if that's a word in English. All right, so that's second drop. So that's not a funny story, but I don't really know exactly what Nitty Gritty did on his bases because that's how we worked. I did the first drop and he did the second drop, and there's nothing more complicated than that. I just don't really know how he worked on like his sound design and stuff like that. But I did some tweaks on the stems he sent me. I will show you that right now. Seriously, we'll hit you up for lessons. Well, feel free to do it, man. I'm currently right now not doing lessons anymore because I'm working on like another EP and all that stuff. But probably in like 3 months or something, I will start lessons again. Tu vas refaire un jour un live stream production avec Samplifier sponsor par Dubstep Mag. Bah écoute, pourquoi pas. Pourquoi pas, ça pourrait être cool. Alright, so... So I really loved what he did here, like this sort of fake drop stuff. Just some filtering and fake out stuff, but I don't know, it adds a lot of energy to the track. So let me just solo the Nitty Gritty basses. It sounds very like ravey. It sounds like almost like how do you call that? Hard trap synths, like very screechy synths. I don't know, this added a lot. I was instantly like, wow, yeah, this fits so well. So all I did really here was adding some LFO tool to the bass and processing it a little bit differently. I mean, just cleaning it up to make it fit to my mixdown. But the bass without anything was something like this. So it was more of a sustained bass. It is not exactly like a sustain bass, but everything is super compressed, so you can't have that dynamics between each shots. Like it doesn't go to it goes to, and I really wanted to have that sort of percussive sound, so I just added the LFO tool on his basses, something like this, and it just cut the volume a bit earlier. And for the process, all I did was cutting some sides. I used Maximus, which is a multiband compressor for those who don't have FL Studio. I'm just pushing the mid signal, I mean the mid band really hard. So it's basically limiting the mid band. That's the only thing I'm doing. And a little bit of Suze. So someone asked what Suze is doing. If I push this up, all the way up, and put the hard mode, you can really hear what's happening. That's kind of weird, actually. See, it really takes every single frequency that could be like too harsh and just turn them down. That's amazing. All right, so yeah. Some glitches as well from the sample pack. Oh, alpha tool didn't trigger. Okay, so there's that little screech in the background as well. You can actually hear it pretty well. And there's also this bass that gonna accentuate the basses from Nitty Gritty. If you remember, there wasn't that impact in the basses really. So I added the LFO tool, but even with the LFO tool, the impact wasn't really present. So I just decided to add another bass that's gonna follow the same rhythm, and just to make the whole thing fuller. So the bass by itself sounds really like shit, but both together it sounds better. Oh. I actually didn't know there was some noise here. Okay, same thing. It's like kind of like this bass here, but it's just noise, so it adds, you know, a very clicky, like a hi-hat. You can press the delta button to see what does Suze delete. Yeah, I forgot to show you that, but yeah, you can actually do that. That will be better to show. Bezos right. If you take Suze and click on this, what you see now is what Suze is like removing from your sound. So sometimes, I think that was company that showed me that at some point, but it was like clicking on delta, and it instead of, you know, removing what was on delta, it was removing what wasn't delta. So it only kept this and made sound design out of this or something like that. But that was like mind blowing. Like using Suze for something that is not made for at all. Now we can hear all the layers together. See, again, it's really all about using layers just to compensate places where there's something missing. I don't know why my bass is not working anymore. Oh, because of Suze. Yeah, I think about streaming on Twitch soon. So what happens here, it's exactly the same bass, but I've just cut it and arranged it in a different way. And then the sub bass. So yeah, that's a pretty simple drop, but it works so well to me. It was an instant win. When it gave me the stems, I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I needed to finish this track. So that's perfect. I'm gonna talk about the bass group processing because I skipped this step. But yeah, so all the basses are going through that bass and subgroup. So don't really mind those two groups here. I have a bunch of groups here. It is only because I was trying out stuff. And in FL, you can see that there's only 10 slots available. And you know, I was like trying one EQ doing this and one distortion and one plugin doing that, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't want it to get rid of those plugins because I was constantly turning them on and off to see what's the best combination to mix those basses together. And I ended up by creating different groups with different like processing. And I finally used everything like one after each other. So that's why it looks messy. But the order is really like 8, that goes to 10, that goes to 11, and that finally goes to 12. But let's go into each individual group. So the first one here, bass and sub. We have a gate here, just catching some unwanted noise floor eventually before the OTT compression. So a little bit of OTT, almost 30%, a bit of time as well, and some downward compression to make the sounds louder. The filter bass is just a filter I'm automating at some point. Camel Crusher, British Clean. Shout out my boy Bizo and Danny Ushu, Dr. Ushu, for showing me this trick. It works really well on your basses, just doing some OTT Camel Crusher. It's a great combo to glue things together. But in order to make it work well, you need to, don't go too loud into your individual channels because that will sound distorted. But yeah, that's a good way to glue things. Then another multi-band compression, this time compressing all bands, even the main band, I think. Yeah. So I'm like compressing each band, so no matter what bass is playing, the whole bass group will sound even in terms of frequency content. I don't really like having one bass being super high and one bass being like super mid-rangey. I like everything to be one single thing, so that's why I use a bunch of compression steps. Then saturation to glue things even more. Some reverb, automated reverb, and finally soft clipping. Should I Virtual Riot Livestream? I don't think I've seen that in Virtual Riot Livestream. Yeah, anyway. So I don't know why this one is called drums. So let's call it bass and sub 2. Told you that was messy. So bass and sub 1 goes to bass and sub 2, and in this one I have a Maximus just compressing the low end. I don't know why. That was pretty part of my experimentations because right now it's boosting the sub a little bit, but it's not doing a lot. So I don't even know why this is still here. But yeah, at least you see how I work. It's messy, I'm just trying stuff. Another filtering, Fruity Balance, which is the equivalent as utility for those on Ableton. Pro Q3 with some dynamic EQ, but I think that's not enabled. It's not. And another soft clipper. And finally, I have this group where I think everything is supposed to go in there, like basses and sub bass. Just gonna make sure everything is well routed. What is that? So I have a sub playing. Oh, okay. I see. I have the sub stems, that's why. Okay, but initially my sub was going through this group with my basses. And in this group, I'm compressing, limiting the sub to 0, so it doesn't go above 0. I sometimes even push these bands up, so no matter what element have sub in my bass group, it's gonna be the same level, the same amount of sub every time. I don't know how to explain that really. Like, let's say you have two basses, there's one that have a lot of sub and one that have like almost no sub. I like to put those two bass into Maximus and eventually like just push the sub all the way up and limit it as much as I can. So it means that both bass will have the same amount of sub at the end. It's just a good way to make things glued together. But I wouldn't like push my other bands that far into limiter because I will sound very limited. but for a sub, I don't really care. So that's why, yeah, I used it here. So there's only the sub, sorry, the low band enabled. Then some soft clipping. Okay, so I have a limiter here, but this is more for visuals. I just wanted to see the shape of my waveform after the soft clipper, just seeing if everything was like same levels and all that stuff. And FL limiter have a great visualizer here, so I use it a lot, but I'm just not limiting at all, just doing this for the visuals. See? Just trying to make my stuff even for the full drop. Then some filtering here. That's just automated at some point. I think that's, what was that? At the beginning, maybe? I think I'm not using it anymore, but that was just a filtering, you know, a sort of telephone filtering. Like that. This is pretty cool for like fake drops and stuff like that. And I have a tape stop on that group as well, and some delay that I'm automating at the end of the drop. And that's it for the bass process. I can play the basses without process, see if there's a big difference. Yeah, I should have done some gain staging before doing these groups, but anyway. Now everything sounds like one single thing, and that's what I was trying to do with all this this process. But I could have done that in one single channel, but again, the process I did was kind of weird. And yeah, there's green wires at the bottom of the mixer. You gotta turn off the one that goes to the master. How do you best process in FL? I wrote to basses in the sound. Yeah, so you can press enter, control. Like let's say I wanna route this track here to my bass group. I can press control and click here, and it links it only to this thing. You can also send it as a sidechain by clicking on shift. And as you can see, it didn't do the same thing. But you can also, if you don't know, if you can't remember the shortcuts, you can just right click and select whatever you want. And in your case, it should be route to this track only. All right, so yeah, and the end of the track, some FXs, some ambiances, nothing really crazy. Yeah, I went over the drop already. But if you have any question, you can still ask. Dead last. And yeah, just opening some reverbs and stuff like that at the end to create some ambience. Final reverb here that I'm automating on the instruments to create that fade out. What's on the master? On the master, there's almost nothing. There's just one multiband compressor from Ozone 9, the Ozone 9 Dynamics, and a soft clipper, and that's it, really. I started to use limiters a bit more for different stuff, not especially dubstep, but for dubstep, that's my go-to, honestly. I also sometimes use that amp saturator on the master. I'm just turning down the threshold a little bit, and it glues everything even more. But that's the only thing I'm doing. Ah, come on. it doesn't want to work well now. But yeah, really nothing crazy. Again, some dynamics. And for the dynamics, what I'm doing really is just turning down the bends a little bit. I mean, the compression bends. I'm not even touching the ratio or all these parameters here. I just, turn down these bends and enable the auto gain. So it makes things sound more even, and especially for the kick and sub relationship. I think that's something that could be important to know. But if you have some issues with your kick and sub, obviously that's a mixed down issue at first, like something is maybe too loud or the sidechain is not big enough. But you can eventually cheat, I'd say, and fix that by using some multiband compression and just compressing your low end in general. Because like no matter how loud your kick will be and how loud your sub will be, there will be like that one band compressing everything together in this area. So even if I don't know if that will work here though. That's just too laggy. But you can try that at home. Just put a Maximus or just a multiband compressor on your master and limit that band here, that first band. Nothing else, just the low end band. And try to push your stuff super hard. Not saying that you should mix your stuff like that, but just to see how everything is reacting together. And you will see that this can really help you and save your ass sometimes. Obviously, it is better to go over your mixdown and fix all the individual problems, but yeah, this can really save your ass. It's saving my ass a lot. When I'm lazy and I don't want to go over each little individual things, I just put a fucking Ozone on my master and problem fixed. All right, so yeah, I think that's it for this track. If you have any question, feel free to ask me. Otherwise, I think that'd be good for me. When you drop distortion VIP demo, there's no distortion VIP. I don't know if I will do a VIP of this track. I'm sorry. Where can we contact you for lessons? You can, for lessons, you can hit me up at ivorymusicbox@gmail.com. But I'm not taking any lessons at the moment. I'm busy with other stuff, but in maybe 3 months, I will be taking lessons back. So feel free to email me now, and I'm just gonna answer this later. But in the meantime, I'm working with the Fire Studio, the Fire. What the fuck I'm doing, which is an online school. I'm doing some lessons out there, some workshops, and also some other stuff. So if you really want to work with me or have my help, you can still sign up. I saw this track on YouTube. Which one? Distortion VIP? Because if you saw Distortion VIP on YouTube, that's not coming from me. That's someone else VIP probably. And you're welcome. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave now. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Never Say Die, for having me. And yeah, go stream the Beast EP. And I'll see you maybe next time for another live stream on Twitch or somewhere else. But yeah, I hope you liked it. See you next time. Have a good day.